you two write that the usual recommendation is the following 6-step sequence of events. 1, ceasefire. 2, release of hostages. 3, humanitarian assistance. 4, reconstruction. 5, peace conference for negotiations between Israel and Palestine. And finally, 6, establishment of 2 states on agreed boundaries. This path is impossible. And this leads me to ask why this has been the pathway for the past 50 plus years and why it's failed. So we need to look for an alternative.
Well, it's been the pathway in part because it's plausible that 2 sides in a dispute should negotiate with each other. One could be cynical with justification and say that it's been the pathway because it's allowed the more powerful side, which has been Israel, to prevaricate and delay. So either way, whether you take it straightforwardly, that there were negotiations, they operated, but they didn't succeed, or that it's been a sham, and all along Israel has really been angling to keep everything. You could argue either position, and either position is potentially defensible, but I would say it doesn't work because at a minimum, there are spoilers on both sides that are basically able to block an agreement, even if there were to be good faith on both sides. So one could debate, and it is debated every day, has there been good faith? Did the Palestinians give up what was offered? Did Israel make a good faith offer? I don't even think it's truly that valuable to dissect every moment of Camp David or Oslo and so forth. The fact of the matter is these negotiations have not worked. And I think what is plausibly self-evident, or almost self-evident, nothing self-evident in this, but what I would say is close to self-evident is that it's dangerous for politicians on either side to make compromises, given that there are significant parts on each side that are uncompromising. And I think the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin is probably the main bellwether of this. There you had a popular Israeli leader who wanted to make peace, and he was killed, not by a Palestinian, but by an Israeli. And he was killed because he wanted to compromise. I think that for me is perhaps the literal reason why there's no outcome of these negotiations, but it's also in a way the metaphorical reason as well, which is that each side has its spoilers who want everything, and for whatever reason they can't agree. You could say metaphorically that Ehud Barak in 2000 at Camp David said, I can't do more because of my opposition that I face. You have to understand my political barriers, whether he was being tactical or right or a coward or telling the truth. Well, Yasser Arafat had the same kinds of barriers on his side. And however one interprets these events, say the breakdown at Camp David, you could say it's Clinton's sloppiness. I happen to put that in a high proportion of explanation. You could say it was that Barak was not honest in following through. You could say that Yasser Arafat missed an opportunity. However one wants to interpret it, my view is that the two sides have been unable and perhaps unwilling, but at least unable to achieve an agreement because of the nature of views on each side.
Yeah, this is tremendously fascinating here. It isn't just a geopolitical war or a war between two monolithic peoples, which of course it is, but it's a war between individuals, and personal stakes play a huge role in actual events.